Hey you guys, what's up? Once again on this my skin's drying up so bad, but it is all good. The season, like I said, the seasons are changing. So but once I get through this little stage right here, it's gonna be all good because it'll clear up then. But anyways, it's a beautiful Monday. It's raining outside. When I tell you I love rain, I am a fanatic. Oh my God, I am such a fan of rain. I love rain. It can rain all day and I wouldn't even care. I will love it. It's so soothing. I love rain. I do. God did good when he created that. You know what I mean? But I was just sitting here reflecting on God's love for us. When I tell you, the more time I have been spending in God's word and prayer, worship and praise, the more he reveals his love for us. You know what I'm saying? And I have to be personal right now. The more he reveals his love to me. Now he loves all of us, but I have not, I can only speak about my experience, because your experience may be different from mine, you know what I'm saying? So I can only speak on my experience of how he's revealing his love to me. I just think about, like, just reading about Jesus carrying that cross, being treated so badly, all because the Father loves us so much, because he loves us so much, And I just think about how I have disobeyed him and turned away from him and did my own things, followed my own path over and over and over again. And yes, I had to reap some consequences of those things, but it could have been worse. I'm just thinking about, he still loved me. He still protected me, and he still chooses me. Like, it's just so amazing, like, how he just expressed his love for us. I think about the story of Hosea and Gomer. Like, this righteous man who was a follower of Christ, who was committed to the things of God. He was a man of honor and respect, and he did what was right in the sight of the Lord. And God loved his people, the people who was disobeying him, choosing other gods, doing what they wanted to do, just pretty much just ignoring God, like God didn't even exist to them, But God was like, I love them so much. I'm mad at them. I'm disappointed in them. But I love them so much. I just want to show them how much I love them. So I'm going to take this righteous man who did no wrong, who loved me, who obeyed me, and I'm going to have him to marry a prostitute, Gomer. And the people going to talk about this man. They're going to laugh at him. They're going to say all kind of things about him. This woman is going to reject them at times, trying to go look for other men to sleep with and do all this stuff. But this man going to still continue to love her no matter what she does. He going to continue to love this woman, and she can always come home. Times I'm quite sure he went to find her when she was out there doing her thing, and he still loved this woman. And that was God's way of showing his people, this is what you're doing to me. You're prostituting yourself to other gods, money, people, your careers, everything else but me. But guess what? I still love you. I want you to come back to me. Come back to me. I love you so much. Just to know that this God, this same God, loves me that way. And like I said, he loves us all, but I got to make this personal because I don't know, your journey with him, but I know mine's. But he is revealing to me what love really is, and it makes me want to love him even more, and to love myself even more, and to love people even more, and to try to understand people more, and try to be more patient with people. but it makes me want to be more understanding, you know what I'm saying, more patient, more loving, you know what I'm saying, more compassionate with people. Because this God, the one and only true God, has done it for me. I just think about where I could be right now in the situations that I place myself in, you know, and the things that I've done that I know has broken his heart. And yet he protected. Bless you, sweetheart, you're blessed. But yet he protected me in it. I'm just going back to when I was a kid. Just the things that I've experienced, like when I was a little girl. I think I was about 3. Might have been about 2, 3. About 3 or 4, something like that. I got burned really bad on my back. And I can remember, like, the only thing I can remember is being rushed to the hospital. You know, my mom driving me to the hospital, her and my uncle. And I just remember I think it was raining that day too. It was raining. And I can just remember looking up at the lights, like her going through the red lights, because she was in a hurry trying to get me to the hospital. I just remember looking up in the sky, seeing the red lights, and her going through the red lights, rushing through the red lights to get me there. And I just remember that. I don't know. I just remember that. Knowing that that's love, like the love that people have for you. It only comes from God, you know. And when my dad got there, you know, and by this time they had put me in this pool, you know, of water to peel off the skin off my back. Because, I mean, I had 3rd-degree burns. And me just crying out for my dad. My dad got there, and I was like, oh, I want my dad. I was just crawling, daddy, daddy, daddy. That's love. That's love that only God could do that for us. And I'm just thinking about so many times in my life, and so many with school. When I used to get in trouble in school, and, you know what I'm saying, I almost got kept back in some grades. I know my grades was not good at all. I was not a good student at all in school. Like, I mean, I made horrible grades. But it was always a teacher there who just was like, you know what? I'm going to do everything I can to help this girl. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to do whatever they could in their power to help me. They would pass me on, but they still tried to, you know, help me. Like, Kendra, like, you know, try to encourage me and try to tell me what was right. And they would pass me on. And I know one time I supposed to completely went back and got held back. But my dad and my stepmom was able to find a school, you know, down in their home, you know, back in my hometown, you know, Alabama. And I was able to go right on to the next grade. And then God just had everything set up to where I could, by the time I got to 12th grade, I was able to graduate when I was supposed to graduate. I mean, just the simplest things. He's reminded me of so many things he's done for me, and how he has allowed people to cross my path at a time when I was just headed down the wrong road, and just strangers who I would have never thought that God would speak through. There was this homeless man. Excuse me. Go ahead. I'm talking right now, okay? Thank you. But, okay. There was this homeless man who was, you know, when I was in high school, and a lot of people knew him because he would be on the same street all the time. He would wear trash bags. He was killed some years ago, whatnot. But the man never talked. He never bothered anybody. And he would wear trash bags on his body. He, you know, he smelled really bad because he was out on the street. So, of course, he wasn't bathing and stuff like that. He had long dreads in his head. And he would always push this bucket full of cans or whatever he could pick up or whatever. And he never talked. He didn't bother anybody. But I don't think nobody really bothered him either. He never said anything to anybody. And I never forget, I was just... I had just got kicked out of school, out of public school. Like, they completely, like, you know what? She's expelled. She's not coming to class. No, she's just pretty much taking up space. They had given up on me. So they was like, you know, they called my father. They was like, I'm sorry, but, you know, there's nothing else we can do. My dad's like, you know what? Just send her home. And he made me walk home from school. Thank God we didn't live too far from the school. But you know what? It was okay, because I've always been a person who can walk, you know. I always have, no matter what size I was, because walking allowed me to think a lot, you know. So I remember walking home, and as I was walking, 2 events happened in the midst of me walking, and I'm going to explain it. these two events. But I was walking home. The first event happened was the wind blew. And let me explain this first. My grandfather that I talk about all the time, that I show his picture all the time, that's down in my room. Oh my God, like I said, my grandfather passed away when I was 8 years old, right? Now, when this event took place, I was around 16 at the time. I was in the 11th grade, right? Okay, I'm walking home, just got kicked out of public school. It's like, you know what, there's nothing else we can do. We got to expel her. She's just not coming to class. You know, she's just taking no space, so she got to go. Okay, my dad made me walk home. As I'm walking home, the wind blew. And I smelled this fragrance, this cologne that my grandfather used to wear when he was alive. Now, keep in mind, my grandfather passed when I was 8 years old. He used to wear this cologne every day. It was like a powder cologne, and it was in a burgundy bottle. Is it like a bottle, or is that a jar bottle? I guess like a bottle, whatever. You know, what powder being container. Anyways, it was burgundy, and he used to wear it every day. Every day. My grandfather was a principal, right? And so, you know, just from birth on up to like 8 years of age, you know, when I was old enough to, you know, have some type of understanding, I knew that he was wearing this cologne all the time. He wore it every single day. And as I'm walking, fast forwarding back up to me being 16 years old in 11th grade, getting kicked out of school, right? As I'm walking home, the wind blew, and I promise you, there was nobody around. It was like, for some reason, like God had it to be that way. No cars was coming past. There was nobody around walking, nothing. And the wind blew, and I smelled that cologne. I had not smelled that cologne since I was 8 years old, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, from 8 backwards, you know, because my grandfather would wear that. And my grandfather passed when I was 8 years old. So I'm like, and I stopped. And I'm looking around like trying to see if I see anybody walking. Maybe there's a man walking somewhere around that wears this cologne. There was nobody in sight, and I smelled that cologne. I had not smelled that cologne in years. The only person I smelled that on was my grandfather. And I was like, oh my God. And all I could think about was him, was my grandfather. And it's like I could hear him say to me, little girl, because he used to call me little girl, you know you're better than this. Get yourself together. I promise y'all, I could just hear that in my spirit. His voice saying, little girl, because he would call me little girl. Little girl, get yourself together. You know better. You know better than this. You know, my grandfather was a very gentleman. He was very kind, loving, and caring. He wasn't the type that fuss and all that. But he was like, all right, little girl, you know, get yourself together. Now you know better. You do better than this. And I could hear that, y'all. And I was just so amazed. I was like, oh my God. Okay, as I'm walking on up toward the traffic light to get ready to cross over, that's when I saw the man that I was telling you guys about, you know, the guy who was homeless on the street. As I'm walking, I saw him on up ahead. He was way on up ahead at the traffic light. By the time I got up there, I saw him, and I remember I had $2 on me because my dad had gave me some money that morning, and I had bought something, and I had $2 left. And I went to give the man $1, and he said to me, he said, no, you keep your money, but I want you to do good for yourself. I want you to try harder, and I want you to do better. This man never talked. This homeless man never talked. And I had been seeing this man for years, you know what I'm saying, in that neighborhood, because we had been living in that neighborhood since, oh my God, my dad moved to that neighborhood. I was probably 3 years old, I think. You know, in that area when I was 3 years old, and this was when I was 17. And I had been seeing this man. Probably started seeing him when I was probably in middle school, something like that. Middle school maybe, or something like that. You know. But anyways, he never talked. But this particular day, he said something to me. And he was like, no, you put your money back. You keep your money. I don't need your money. You keep your money. But I want you to do good. Do different. You know, do better for yourself. Do better. And I was like, okay, I heard that twice. that feeling of my grandfather, his presence being there, and from and and from my, like I said, first from my grandfather I heard this, and then second from this man, homeless man who never speaks, never talk, never bother anybody, never say anything, always to himself, never talk, because you got to keep in mind the purpose of him. The reason why he was out there homeless is because of his mind. He had mental issues, so that's why he was out there. But God was like, I don't care, I will use people that you least expect just to get your attention, because I love you, because I care so much about you. And he used those two people that day, the spirit of my grandfather and that homeless man. I remember getting home, I walked in the door, my dad was there, and I was like, oh Lord. He was laid up in the bed because he was off that day. And my dad is a very hard worker. Even when he's off work, he's still working, okay? But this particular day, he was just kind of resting. You know how sometimes my dad, when I say resting, he will probably lay back on the bed, with his feet crossed on the bed, watching the news. When the news go off, okay, he get up and go find something to do, because my dad is a very hard working man. But he was like, all right, what you gonna do? And then that love, I had put him through so much, not going to school, just not doing what was right. But he never gave up on me. Like, even after that, getting kicked out of public school, I know it was just like, he probably want to be like, this child, like, Jesus Christ. But no matter what, God gave him the gift of patience and the gift of love to be patient with me. And he's like, all right, what you gonna do? What you want to do now? I was like, well, I don't know. He was like, well, he had told me that my stepmom had found the school. See, it's like, he had already called her, like, okay, well, she's got put out of school, so let's see what else we can do for her. Like, he just did not quit on me. And I mean, I know I'm quite sure he probably wanted to, but God just would let him do it. And I mean, that's love. And then he was like, well, he was just saying my stepmom had found a school for me to go to. They would have to pay out some money every month. I think like $1,200 a month for me to go to this school. So he was like, what you want to do? You want to give it a try? I was like, yeah, I do. He was like, it's a private school. He said, a smaller setting or whatever. And I was like, okay. And he was like, I just want you to graduate. He was like, I know that you said I'm strict and you want to leave, you don't want to be here, whatever, but I can't let you leave until you finish school. Like, that's all I want you to do. And I was like, that's all I got to do is finish school? He was like, yeah, you finish school, then you can go, where you want to go. Because I wanted to leave. I wanted to go to Atlanta up here to be with my sister, my mom, and whatever up here. And he was like, that's all you got to do? I'm like, that's it? And I'm like, okay. And he was like, yeah, I just want you to, he said, but as long as you sitting back, not trying to finish school, you're going to be right here with me. And I was like, man, I wish I would have known this a little earlier. But anyways, like, after that, I got signed up into the school that summer. Once, everything died out. And once summer came in, I started the summer school at this school. And then I went on, finished my 12th grade year. But now when I tell y'all, my grades was good. I never got in no trouble. I was respectful. I went to school every day. I had no other choice. I went to school every day. Then after that, I started, having to drive to school. I would drive to school. I went there every day. It was a half a day. It was a smaller setting. I went there, and when I tell you, I did so good. My grades were good. I did my homework. I studied for a test. I would pass my test. I had excellent teachers who was they was just so good with me. They, what I'm saying? The principal, she was just awesome. She's passed away too. I mean, I just loved her. She was so good, so compassionate, just loving and caring. I mean, the people there, it's like, I know God knew what I needed. He knew exactly where I needed to be. I would go to school from 8 o'clock to 12:30 in the afternoon. That's it. Every day. I mean, Monday through Friday. And I graduated. And after that, I left and I was gone. And I ended up here in Georgia. Would have been up here in Georgia ever since. But I just think about all those events. And it's more events after that too. But I don't want to get into all that because I'd be all day. But just thinking about how much God loved me and how he was always there and how he had my whole life planned out. And that's why I don't have to question him no more. I don't have any doubt. I don't have any fears. Because I know my life is planned out. And I know that my life is going to be fulfilled. Whatever plan and purpose he has for my life, no matter how many mistakes I've made, no matter what, God is going to finish the good work he started in me. And that's love, y'all. That's love. God loves us. He loves you.